In this third video on Surds, we're going to have a look at expanding and simplifying a pair of double brackets. Now this is very similar to when you do this in algebra to create a quadratic equation. What we're going to do is we're going to use the grid method so that you can see all four parts of this being multiplied together and seeing what comes out of it. So first of all, let's set up our multiplication grid. And on the top I'm going to put my first bracket, which is root 3 plus root 2. And down the side I'm going to put my second bracket, which is root 3 minus root 2. Now root 3 times root 3 is just 3. Root 3 times root 2 is root 6. Root 3 times minus root 2 is negative root 6. And negative root 2 times root 2 gives me a negative 2. So these are all of the different parts when I expand that bracket. I get 3, I get a minus 2, I get a plus root 6, a minus root 6. Now there's some simplification that will occur here, so let's have a look at that. 3 minus 2 is 1, and plus root 6 take away root 6, well these two things actually cancel each other out. So this whole thing expands and simplifies just to the value 1. Let's have a look at this second example. Again, I'm going to set up a grid method for this. This will help me with my calculations. So on the top I'm going to put 2 plus root 3 as my first bracket, and down the side I'm going to put my second bracket, which is 4 minus root 3. Let's multiply this out. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times root 3 is just 4 lots of root 3. 2 times negative root 3 is negative 2 lots of root 3. And root 3 times negative root 3 is negative 3. When we write down all of the terms that we get from the expansion, I've got 8, a minus 3, a plus 4 root 3, and a minus 2 root 3. So that's those two brackets expanded. Now I need to simplify them. 8 minus 3 is 5, and 4 root 3's take away 2 root 3's, leaves me with just 2 root 3's as my final answer. Here are two questions to have a go at yourselves. Be careful with these. I would strongly recommend using the grid method just to make sure that you're doing the multiplication correctly and not losing any terms. Pause the video here, hit play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay, in this first one I'm going to use a very quick grid method. So root 3 plus root 15, and because the bracket is being squared it means it's being times by itself, so down the side goes root 3 and root 15. Now root 3 times root 3 is 3, root 3 times root 15 is root 45, root 3 times root 15 is root 45, and root 15 times root 15 is 15. So that means when I expand this bracket, everything I get out of it is 3 plus 15, which is 18, and I also get 2 lots of root 45. Now root 45, you'll remember from a previous video, will actually simplify. So this whole thing becomes 18 plus 2 lots of root 9 root 5. The square root of 9 is 3, so it becomes 18 plus 2 times the 3, which is 6, and then root 5 is left on its own. That's my answer fully simplified. In the second example, again I'm going to set up a really quick grid method. So I've got root 2 plus 2 and root 2 subtract 6. Root 2 times root 2 is 2, and 2 times root 2 is 2 root 2, and negative 6 times root 2 is negative 6 lots of root 2, and finally negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. This means that when I collect together all of the terms from my expansion, I've got 2 minus 12, which is negative 10, and I've got 2 root 2's take away 6 root 2's, which is minus 4 root 2. There's no simplification left to be done, so that's my final answer. Well done if you got those two questions correct. That's a really tough problem. Have a look at Surds number 4 for the final video in this section on Surds. Thanks for listening.